what's up guys? This is Mike B coming at you for Campfire Guitar Star, the lesson all about the electric guitar. In this lesson, I'm going to break down all the basic techniques a beginner will need to start playing electric guitar right now. So we're going to be looking at two different songs, and with these two songs, we're actually going to be teaching you technique, finger placement, how to hold a pick, all that good stuff. But the best part of it is we're going to be doing it through songs. No boring exercises, just straight up songs. So let's get right into it. Now the very first song we're going to be looking at is actually a song by Black Sabbath called Electric Funeral. Now this song has been very carefully selected because it starts off with a few single note riffs, no chords or anything. And once we get those single note riffs down, later on in the song, we get into power chords. Now, those two things are really where you want to start off with on the electric guitar to guarantee success. You don't want to jump into playing a bunch of, crazy difficult chord shapes. It all starts off with just a couple single note riffs and then a couple power chord riffs. And that's exactly what this song does. It starts off with some single note riffs and ends off with some power chords. So let's get right into it here. Now, the very beginning of the song is actually just starts on double open E string, right? We're just gonna get our pick. Remember, stick it right like this. You wanna be right between your thumb and your first finger. I'm not using two fingers. That's, exhibit A, you really don't wanna do that. And so yeah, just get one finger, one thumb. The other thing you wanna be really careful about on the guitar is that you're not, anchoring these fingers like this where you get them down and then you start picking from there. It's okay if you've got a pinky kind of like wrapped around your high E string a little bit. That's okay. I see a lot of guys do that, but yeah, the big no-no is getting a couple fingers anchored on the guitar like so. You do not want to do that. So get that pick between the first two fingers, get those other fingers just out of the way, just kind of tuck them out. Plant that back here. You can get contact from the guitar actually right here, right along the bridge of the guitar. You can kind of plant your hand back there if you want to, or you can actually float above the strings as well. That's another good way, just kind of floating. Or, like I said before, the pinky on the high E string. Again, the right hand is not super strict on the electric guitar. I always find just sort of do something and stick to it. As long as you've got one finger on the pick and you're not got a big anchor system there. Pretty much anything goes as long as you stick to it. You just got to build some muscle memory in the right hand. So we start off here, two open E strings. So let's get our pick and we're going to go just two open E's, just like that. So let's do that just one more time together. E, E, just like that. All right, cool. So now in our left hand, we've got fingers here, right? And they're all numbered. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's just kind of a way that we can, be on the same page, and I can say things like, okay, put your first finger here or your second finger here, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So again, it's first finger, second, third, and fourth. Thumb is just typically known as thumb. Nothing really special to remember there. So we're gonna get our first finger here, and we're gonna put it on the second fret of the A string. Now, you see these metal lines right here? Those are frets. That's what I'm calling a fret. And each one is numbered. We just go right down here. We got 1. The first line is the first fret. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just keeps going. When we start on the guitar, this is how we call things. We call it frets and string names. So you hear me say things like second fret, A string. So that means I go to my A string or the 5th string, get my first finger and stick it in the second fret of that string. Now, check this out. When I'm on the fret, you notice I'm not actually right in the middle. I'm actually right, because I'm on the second fret, right? I'm tucked up to that second line right there. That's exactly the position you need to have. You got to be right there. If I go back a little bit, it's a fretted instrument. It's still going to be the same note, but you hear, when I go back this way, it starts getting a little buzzy. I can make that buzz go away if I squeeze really hard, but I mean, you're not really gonna have much strength as a beginner to be squeezing super hard. So when you're first getting started, really make sure you're always right next to the line, not on top of it, right next to it, just shy of the line. So that's the second note in the song, the second fret of the A string. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna leave my first finger there, and I'm gonna add my second finger to the 3rd fret of the exact same string. Notice my first finger is still there because I'm gonna go back to it. I go 2, 3, 2 on the A string. There's no point in going. You want to be as efficient as possible. You want to just leave it down. So the first 5 notes, are E, E. Sweet, let's do that one more time. Now you notice right when I start off, my first finger is already hanging out, waiting right there. He's ready to go. It's a good habit to get into, and it also mutes the low E string so that my right hand can hit a little bit harder and I don't have to worry about accidentally strumming the other string. So just get it right there, sitting on its note, not pushing down, but just on the fret. So after that, we go back to the open E, and now we go to the E string, and we do the exact same thing with our first 2 fingers. 2, 3, 2. All right, so let's do that much again. We have. That's the whole first riff of the song. So I'm gonna play it a couple times, super slow. 3 and 4 and. Sweet, so now let's talk about the right hand for a second on this song. All I'm doing are down strokes. I'm just down, 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 down. All down strokes. All right, sweet. Hope you got that one down. That's the beginning of Electric Funeral. So, and it's also the chorus, the intro and the chorus. Now, let's get to the verse of the song. After, so yeah, we repeat that part a few times, and then we get to the verse, which sounds like this. Sweet, okay, so I'm doing a few complicated things with the right hand that we're gonna ignore at the beginning. The start is just gonna be getting the riff down, and we're gonna talk about the right hand stuff in a second. But yeah, first let's get that riff down. So I start off with just 4 open E's. That's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, all downstrokes in this song. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm gonna get my first finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the A string. Again, just like before. I'm gonna go 2nd fret, move it down to the 1st fret, same string, and then go open on that string, and then land with my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. So that's 2, 1, 0, 3. The 0 on the A and the 3 go right next to each other, or sorry, right next to each other time-wise. They go 2, da, ta, ta. They're right, like super quick. That open A is very fast. We got 2, 1, 0, 3. It's almost like they're the same note as ta, ta, just right into the next. So 2, 1, 0, 3. So let's go back, let's put the whole thing together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Now, once you've got that down, I want to talk about the right hand, because when you listen to them do it, they're going, which is called a palm mute. Now again, if you're just getting started and this is overwhelming you, you don't have to get this down right away. This is just kind of the icing on the cake. So what we're actually going to do here is I'm going to plant this part of my hand right here, literally on the strings, right next to the bridge of the guitar. I'm not sitting on the bridge, I'm actually on the strings so that they're slightly choked out. So I get this sound right here. right? So here's no palm mute, and here's with the palm mute. Here, it kind of just chokes up the string a little bit. And yeah, all it is just literally laying my hand flat across the strings, choking them out. To do a little test to see if you're doing it properly, go like this. Start up at the fretboard with this part of your hand latched on those strings, just lightly touching them, and go like this. And slowly move your hand that way as you strum. And I'm just on the strings, you can hear. Right there's my palm mute right there. Now it's coming through, and that's literally right next to the bridge of the guitar. But keep going. Now it's a non-palm mute, but I just gotta, slide in. So you start getting that nice chunky sound. Now, this technique is all over the place in rock guitar, metal guitar. You're gonna be using this all the time. It's super common and totally essential to playing a lot of your favorite songs. So yeah, try to get it down. But let's go back to the riff here. What we're gonna do is start off, those first 4 open E's are all gonna be palm muted. The rest are still normal. Those first 4 are palm muted. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Sweet. So remember, the key to the electric guitar is getting a few single note riffs down first. After that, working your way to power chords, and then, only then, once you've got power chords and regular single note riffs totally down, then move to things like full chords, and then bar chords after that. But yeah, the first step is getting the single note riffs and the power chords down. So we've done 2 single note riffs in this song. Let's check out some power chords in this song. So we go back and forth between those sections: intro, verse, intro slash chorus, verse, intro, chorus, verse. One more intro, chorus, and then we get to the next part, the bridge after that. We're just going to take a look at the very beginning of the bridge in today's lesson. But the bridge is where we start pulling out some power chords. So let me introduce power chords to you. These are like the ultimate thing for the electric guitar. Just a kind of quick overview of power chords. You know, if I were to play chords like this, if I were to do that with a ton of distortion and overdrive and effects and stuff, it wouldn't really sound that clean. It sounds good because I'm playing a clean guitar with a clean signal here, but if I had some distortion or overdrive on that, like rock so commonly does, all those chords would sound really muddy, and like you couldn't really tell which note was which. It sort of sounds like you know, it doesn't sound super crisp. Where power chords, what we do is essentially we simplify chords from 3 notes down to 2. Most chords are just triads. Power chords, and oh, by the way, a triad just means it has 3 notes. Oftentimes though on the guitar, those 3 notes will be doubled. Power chords are simply just 2-note chords. You just take the 2 kind of most powerful notes in that chord, which are the root and the 5th, and we just play those 2. So the other great thing about power chords is that it's just one shape. Once you get this one shape down, all you got to do is move it around. It's not like, you know, this is the shape of a G chord, this is the shape of a C chord. Power chords have one shape. It's right here, and I just move that around. You see, that's just one shape I'm moving all the way across the neck. Nothing really changing. So it's, yeah, great, a great chord just to kind of get down once and then just be able to play. So check it out. Here's the formula for a power chord. In this song, we're going to be all the way up on the 12th fret doing it. So this is always the power chord formula. You get your first finger down on the root, whatever the root may be. In this case, the 12th fret of the E string. Now, my third finger is going to go where it would naturally kind of fall, which is 2 frets up. And then I'm just going to drop it 1 string down. And that's my power chord shape right there. I've got 12th fret on the E, 14th fret on the A. Those are the only 2 notes we're after. We don't want any of the other strings coming through. So you'll see my first finger is actually kind of laid across the strings to mute those. But don't worry about that too much off the bat. Just worry about getting that shape and trying to strum just the low 2 strings. Now, that's the power chord shape right there. So do this a whole bunch of times with me. Do a little stretch, stick, strum. Stretch off the chord, stick the chord, strum the chord. And just do this a whole bunch of times, and this starts building muscle memory. The guitar is all about muscle memory. All you gotta do is just do that enough times until that your fingers just naturally kind of fall there, and you'll have power chords. So make sure when you're doing that though, that they're landing at the same time. You don't wanna go and then find it, or the other way around. You wanna have them both just land in a ready power chord. So this song is like the perfect song to introduce power chords because it's not really too complicated. We're nice and high up the neck, so the frets are a little bit smaller, and all we're doing is moving down one fret. We do this, we go drop everything down one fret, everything down one fret one more time, and that's the riff right there. It just goes, and you let that last one hang out for a bit, and then you do it again. And again. Nice. So one thing to work on when you're doing this is you don't want to have it sound like this. You don't want it to go. You want it to be nice and long. You notice I'm holding that chord for as long as possible before I drop down to the next chord. And since we're only moving one fret at a time, this is a really good song to just work these power chords out, work the transitions between them. But it's like I said, once you get that one shape down, you can play thousands, if not millions of songs, millions of your favorite songs. So yeah, just get that down, 12, 11, 10. Power chords, always that exact same shape. So the very last song I would like to look at today is actually just the opening riff to No One Like You by the Scorpions. And we're just looking at the power chord riff. I know there's a really sweet lead solo part there. Unfortunately, we're not going to look at that today. This is a beginner lesson. We just are looking at the power chords. Here's what they sound like. One more time. All right, sweet, and that's all we're gonna be looking at for this song actually is just that very opening riff. So again, we're just using power chords the whole time because it's very common in rock guitar. Now that you've got that power chord shape down, now we gotta worry about moving and transitioning it around, but you pretty much know the chords to tons of your favorite songs already, as long as you like rock music and things like that. Just by learning the power chord shape, you already kind of know a ton of your favorite songs. So check it out, this one is gonna start off on the 5th fret of the E string. So I get my power chord formula, I get the root, which is the 5th fret on the E string, 3rd finger comes down where it naturally would fall, right on the 7th fret, so 2 frets over, and then it's gonna drop 1 string down, so it's just on the adjacent string, so 5th fret on the E, 7th fret on the A. That's my first power chord right there. Now, I'm just gonna drop that, oh, and by the way, yeah, you just strum it 2 times. And then you notice the sound stops right away. It just goes 1, 2. So what I like to do to stop that sound is I like to use my right hand. I just go, and I sort of punch the guitar. It doesn't always have to be that loud. It can be an inaudible punch too. All right, just kind of touching the strings just to mute them. Another thing you can actually do is just lift your left hand off. You just go, and I just lift it up and it's off. And the sound stops. So I find it's almost good to do both at the same time, especially if you're playing with a ton of distortion and high gain, which power chords often are. It's not coming through right now because I'm clean, but if I were to just do this one, where I lift the left hand off, sometimes a harmonic might start ringing through there and you might get a weird sort of ringing if you just let that off with a lot of distortion. So it's good to kind of be able to do both. Go, let it off and sort of punch the strings just to make sure everything is muted. So we hit that twice, 2 downstrokes. Move it down to the 1st fret. I'm gonna do the exact same thing, 2 hits, and then stop the sound. Nice. Up to the 3rd fret, same thing, and then I just repeat that. So let me play what we got so far. It's 5, 3, 4. So you notice there's a big pause between the 5th fret and the 1st fret. But the first fret to the third and the third to the fifth, not much of a pause. We got rest, 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 rest. And it's right actually at this part that we change things. You do the whole riff, I believe it's 3 times through. 1, 2, 2, 2. If that was 1 time, here's 2 times. Here's the 3rd time. And then I don't go back, I don't repeat the 5th fret, because that was the first part of the sequence. So doing it 3 times ends right on the 3rd fret. And right after you do it 3 times, you're just gonna drop it back to the 1st fret. And you're gonna play that once, long sustain here. We're not muting it. We're not going like that, we're going, let that ring. And then we're gonna drop it down to the open E power chord, which would be like this right here. It's these notes. There's like a power chord. Imagine I'm just moving 1 fret down. So my first finger is now on like the open fret. But again, it doesn't make much sense to finger it like this. We might as well get our first finger right there. So that's open E string, first finger, 2nd fret on the A string or the 5th string. So I've got, and just let them both sustain and ring just like that. All right, so let's do the whole thing right through. 3, 4. Rest, rest. One more time. Sweet. Okay, so you notice I'm sometimes adding a few chickas and little hits in there and stuff between the chords. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I was just kind of doing that to help myself keep the beat because I'm not playing along to a metronome or a drummer, and I find if I just add a little bit more information in the right hand, it's just a lot easier for me to stay on beat. But yeah, again, you do not have to do that by any means. So thus concludes today's lesson. Main thing we ran over today was single note riffs and some easy power chord riffs. Now, both these songs are quite simple, so get these down note for note, exactly how I played them. Try to get them to the point where you can play them along to the recording of the song. And once you've done that, you can really move on to so many of your favorite songs, because then you've got a solid handle on single note riffs, palm muting, and power chords. All that stuff is just your bread and butter as a beginner electric guitarist. So once again, my name is Mike B. I teach for an awesome school called Campfire Guitar Star. We teach people all over the world guitar through online lessons. We also have a site where we break down blues guitar, lead guitar, and acoustic guitars, not just campfire stuff. We do a little bit of everything. So yeah, please check out campfireguitarstar.rocks. Thanks for watching this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.